We want to bring in right now Libertarian nominee for president and former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson. Governor, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. I think Kane has it pegged. There's never been a crazier campaign season. How crazy? You know, I might be the next president.
How are you going to get that to resonate with people? Do you see this opportunity to grab undecided votes as, you know, increasingly people are saying, I don't like Trump and I don't like Clinton either?
Well, you know, that has maybe that's the biggest factor of all, but, you know, you are talking about two former Republican governors, myself and Bill Weld, having served 2 terms each in heavily Democrat states by being small government, socially inclusive. Add to that the fact that these military interventions, the fact that we involve ourselves in regime change, has had a negative consequence, and we're for free trade. That's how you bring the world together, and diplomacy.
So let me ask you this, because you've lowered taxes, what, 14 times. You ran as a Republican before for president. You talked a lot about small government. Do you think of yourself more as a Republican over a Democrat?
Well, I think, you know, the old adage in college that if you weren't a Democrat, you didn't have a heart, and then in later life, if you weren't a Republican, you didn't have a brain. I think we've all got hearts and brains, and I think that's what libertarians bring together. This notion of small government, lower taxes, you know, keep government out of my pocketbook, keep government out of my bedroom.
Governor, how does your message differ from that of Donald Trump? I mean, traditionally, there's a lot of crossover between libertarians and conservatives. What stopped a lot of conservatives from supporting a libertarian position or a candidate was particularly concerns about national security, in the sense that actually the U.S. does need to play a much more active role in the world, get involved around the world, not necessarily in nation building, but take an active interventionist role. But Donald Trump seems to be very strongly against that. He very clearly came out against nation building the other day. So how do you differentiate yourself from what Donald Trump is saying? He's for low taxes, he's for smaller government, he's for a smaller U.S. role overseas. How do you differentiate yourself from his voters?
Well, for starters, he talks about deporting 11 million undocumented workers. That has a basis in complete misunderstanding of the situation. Immigrants are not taking jobs that U.S. citizens want. We should be embracing immigration. We should make it as easy as possible for somebody that wants to come into this country and work to be able to get a work visa. And a work visa should entail a background check and a Social Security card so that taxes get paid. Look, building a wall across the border is just crazy. I can just see the Mexican president, Donald Trump, take this wall down. And you know what? He's going to be on the right side of history at some point if Trump is elected, and if he does this wall, which is really asinine, we will take it down at some point.
Governor Johnson.
And then he talks about free trade, forcing Apple to make their iPhones and their iPads in the United States, and then a 35% tariff on imported goods. Sounds really free trade to me.
Yeah, but why is the wall so asinine, as you put it? I mean, shouldn't you have structures in place to know exactly the flow of people coming into the country and vet those people?
Well, sure, but the reason why there's 11 million undocumented workers, Maria, is because they can't get across the border legally, and yet the jobs exist. So they're forced to cross illegally. And by the way, the illegal crossings right now are like at a 10-year low. So I'm not proposing anything change on the border, but building a wall across the border, I mean, we're talking about 2,500 miles, and how's the wall going to work when it comes to Texas and Mexico when the border is the Rio Grande River? Are we going to build the wall on our side of the river, their side? Oh, I see, right down the middle of the river. I mean, really, this is just it's crazy.